There we go. Okay, yes, it's on. Hey, look at that. If anyone can hear it going on. This is the Freak Fandango Orchestra. Doing my little opening number here. Yes, my editor Jeff Easley and I, we went through several different openings for this movie, and we settled on this. I liked the simplicity of it. I'm an enormous fan of Woody Allen's work, but especially his opening credits. And there's me, a little slimmer, wearing glasses I no longer have because they broke, wearing a tie that I don't wear. Anyway, playing Jeff Little, the main character. Now, the reason I'm the main character is just for practicality purposes. Someone had to be there for pretty much every day of the shoot, and I was the only one I knew for certain would actually be there. So my editor was like, "You should play the lead." There's Mike Bobbitt as J.J. Morton, you'll see, right there, agent/psychiatrist. He does both. There's Dave Landau as Alice Zimmerman, who's the bartender, a very important person in people's life. Then this is what's going on in Jeff Little's life. All right, so this scene was shot in so many different locations. It's insane. It's a testament to Jeff's editing. It's like Mike Bobbitt's there. Wait, we gotta wait for Nate Armbruster. Hang on, here he is. One of my favorite parts.
Good thing we don't work here, right, buddy? Have to sit through this shit all week.
Love it. Anyway, he's a comedian. Mike Bobbitt's a comedian. This movie's half comedians, half Detroit area comics. So yeah. Anyway, so if you see the couch I'm laying on was in my apartment in Ypsilanti. Mike Bobbitt's sitting in his office in Canton, and then in a little bit you'll start seeing certain shots of me at Jeff Easley's apartment in Ypsilanti, all blend together. It looks good, I think. You're also about to see the bathroom door of my Ypsilanti apartment. So we had to. That's a lot of what filmmaking is, especially when you have no money. I shot this. It took about 2 years from the writing to the pre-production, production, post-production, completion. About 2 years as a writer, director, producer, star, while working 2 jobs, writing for 3 websites and paying for it out of pocket. Now, I am a poor person, so when I say out of pocket, what I mean is this movie literally cost me about $400. A lot of people can't really believe that, but I don't know. I made it work. I sometimes can see it. I'm like, yeah, I can see $400 at work here. These music cues are my favorite. And he pops my bubble. So yeah, there's a lot of I don't know what's going on with my hair in a lot of these shots, but I thought it fit the character. I guess that's the excuse I'll use anyway. A lot of thought went into this. I mean, it's deliberately. In my head, this movie is a black, white, and red movie. It's not a black and white movie. It's a black and white and red movie because those, taking a cue from Jack White, those are my 3 favorite sort of prominent. Like I love that combination of colors. I try to make my wardrobe one of those 3 colors predominantly. in real life, see that right there? That's Jeff Easley's apartment now. So yeah, a lot of problem solving. A lot of crazy stuff. A lot of fitting in schedules. See, a lot of these people, especially since they're comedians, their schedules are all over the place. So I had to shoot when I could, where I could, how I could. But I also, I did all the scheduling. I'm not just saying this like, I did everything, because I didn't. I had help, but it's kind of crazy. I totally get why people get hired for so many things, because I could have used a lot more help than I got as far as that kind of stuff goes. But, what? Okay, sorry. I felt like I heard something. Oh, maybe it's just my headphones. Anyway, maybe I did hear something. Maybe I heard. Yeah, hang on. Watch the movie for 1 second. All right, I'm back. Anyway, I didn't hear anything. I heard voice. I hear my own voice, I guess. So there's many outtakes on this. I have my belief, especially if I'm acting in it, is to try to keep things fun and weird. because I personally work better in that kind of environment than a strict, very, controlled atmosphere. I like it loose. I want people to do weird performances. I want to catch little, weird, there was so many takes I did of that, especially if Jeff Easley's behind the camera and I'm doing takes of anything, it very much becomes about me trying to make him laugh, of course. And he loves whatever silly, goofy thing I do. So yeah, we did a lot of runs with this. You should hear Mike Bobbitt's full script he wrote on the fly right there. It's very funny.
Super muscly guy does some push-ups before grabbing a grenade. In slow motion, he throws the grenades at the cars and they blow up. Still in slow motion. He looks at the camera and says something cheeky.
Oop. Yeah, so we worked really hard on the timing. I was very picky about the timing of the movie because I liked the idea of creating a loose atmosphere. If you read the script, there's a flexibility, there's a sort of a flexible reality going on. I wanted to capture that too, but also I wanted to make it so that I wanted to control the looseness after the looseness was in effect. You know what I'm saying? Like in post, sort of tighten it up and make it very, very tight. I guess that's kind of how I wrote it too, because it was a loose. I don't know. It was a kind of free-flowing writing experience, but I rewrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it. So like I took a lot of wild ideas or whatever, and I sort of etched it in stone so that it made some sort of solidified, concrete sense. So like the spine, the backbone of the piece was good, was strong enough to withstand whatever changes. I didn't really make people commit to the script. I'm sure some actors were probably annoyed by that, but to me, I knew when it was off track. Do you know what I mean? So as long as it was based on the foundation of the script, I just wanted people to have fun, and I wanted it to come off that way. I wanted you to laugh, sort of, I didn't want it to, I guess I didn't want it to seem in-jokey, if you get what I mean. I wanted it to seem like, you were in on the joke. I guess that helps. And here's my meditation scene. It's back when I smoked. I act like that was years ago. Well, actually it was. This is the third year anniversary of the month that I shot most of this movie. How crazy. I was like, 3 years ago. It took me a while to reconcile that idea. I was like, was it 3 years? Yeah, I guess it was. But yeah, I literally just quit smoking 2 weeks ago, so I'm not trying to beat a dead horse bringing that up again. It's on my mind a lot. But anyway, so I probably still do sit-ups about as well as I did there. That's a handstand that I can do one-handed. Not to brag. So here, this whole idea, of course, is if you read the script, it says an epiphany is brewing. So a big part of what I was trying to convey with this, I'm not sure if I executed it well or what, but I was trying to create what feels very much like life through my eyes, which is you try to get to your Zen moment, but all these outside sources interfere with you like that, and you're sort of incapable of experiencing inner peace and inspiration and all that because you have too many people, and distractions. And look, he doesn't even have a television and he's distracted. Look at that. There's nothing. So, I tossed the old cell phone. The joke, of course, with JJ on JJ's picture when he calls is that he's wearing my glasses, which is the joke earlier when he's chewing on glasses, but they're actually my glasses. No idea if these things read. I just think they're funny. This week, this doesn't look as dark as it should, but I feel like it kind of looks like city lights, kind of glow in it. That's on the Eastern Michigan University campus. I first saw this telephone and I was like, what in the hell? So I had Helen, my fiance, do the operator, and I wanted to do this joke. I wrote this joke on a bus. Can't even get a break from the operator. He's such a bad director. There's of course Dave Landau. It's a great Dave Landau. Very, very funny guy. Hilarious performance. But I wrote these. Originally, there was a scene where Jeff gets dropped off at a bookstore, and it's just ridiculous. It's like a anti-Semitic, overly Christian bookstore. They have their instead of men and women written on the restrooms, it says Adam, Eve, and stuff like that. And she says, the lady goes, "God afternoon, can I offer you some wine and crackers?" and stuff like that. But the lady who I cast as that ended up not being able to do it, so I had to come up with something else. And I couldn't also get a bookstore, so I had to come up with something else. And I came up with those scenes in the phone booth. Anyway, so I'm missing a bunch here. The whole scallywag thing, that just makes me laugh. That's just the kind of thing that makes me laugh because it's so weird. It's so like, it really paints a very specific picture of a character before you kind of hate him before you even meet him because he's calling people scallywags seriously. There's Dan Johnson hugging me. There was a great bit that Jeff ended up cutting out. I'll talk about that TV in the background later, but there's a great bit that Jeff ended up coming out where right when he's being really sort of homoerotic with me, it cuts to Ellis, and he's like washing the pole in front of him, and very nonchalantly, but it looks like suggestive. I thought it was a funny edit, but whatever, ended up being removed. That's the great Robert Young, as the hilariously bad trumpeter. That was on the fly. That was not in the script. When I had the band he's playing with is an actual band called the Dorchestra. They're very good. But I wanted I wanted to hire an actor for the lines, because the trumpeter is the only band member that actually had lines. So we were shooting that at the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase, the old location anyway. And so they were all nice enough to let me shoot there. I worked there for like 8 years, so that's how I met a lot of these comics who are in the movie. But anyway, so the music on the stage. The day that we were shooting the band, I didn't know. I mean, I kind of knew what to tell them, but I didn't. I wanted them to just jam and then Jeff and I would just get footage of them jamming. But at the table read, Robert told me he just got a trumpet, and I said, "Bring it." I said, "Can you play it?" He said, "Not well." I said, "Perfect." I said, "Bring the trumpet, and you're gonna play it badly." And so when he got up on stage, I just told him, I said, just play it with your heart out, but make it sound like shit. So, I think it's hilarious, but it's all to me part of the whole kind of the theme of the movie, which is that everyone kind of sucks at their job. I mean, I guess Alice is a fine bartender, but you know what I mean. You'll see, like the taxi driver sucks. The Robbie, the director, sucks. The theater owner sucks. The cop sucks. Like everyone's just there, because I find that very amusing personally. So yeah, this is big. And then of course he has to use his excuse that no one laughs at, but I think it's funny. Maybe it's funnier on paper, but I got a case of trumpeter's thumb. There's a running gag in the script where it's like trumpeter's thumb. Why am I spacing on some of the other ones? People's Court. You got a case of trumpeter's thumb, and then later the cop says, "You got a case of the People's Court coming your way," and like stuff like that. And I don't know, I thought it was funny. I just kept kind of. She says the cop has cop's cape, which is a thing I made up. That's really weird, but I like it. This taxi was donated for the movie. Donated. It sounds like I still have it. I don't. Faye Dunaway sat in this taxi for a movie a while back, but the Babishes, Michael Babishes, the guy who plays my arch rival, his parents lent me this awesome old checker from like the 60s just to do these scenes. This is of course this is a lot of Jeff's doing, which I'm fine with. These are the kind of things I encouraged, of course. The process with Jeff and I, Jeff Easley, the editor and cinematographer, we talked extensively and did test shooting and all this stuff before we ever shot the actual movie. And so he knew more or less what I wanted. There's Raina Long as Lily Liverpool. I'll talk about her more in a second. But yeah, Jeff Easley and I wasn't over his shoulder during it because he knew what I wanted, and yeah, he just knew what I wanted. So like, and I wanted him to be free because he comes up with really great stuff, especially on his own. So I didn't want to be like hawking him about it, like, you know, hounding him, you know, about it. No, the scene has to play like this, like this, like this. At the end of the day, though, I made everything is pretty much what I wanted under the circumstances, like what we were able to do. See, this whole scene with the, you know, it's the green screen car stuff. The lagging, we couldn't get rid of. We tried. This scene was the biggest pain in the ass as far as in post, trying to get all these just to work perfectly. And I wanted it to have like a surreal feeling, and it does. But I feel like some people don't think it's deliberately that way, you know. So I don't know. I feel like Matt McLaury is the police officer, and Coram Sheik's cop uniform, by the way. Those are two comedians. Surprisingly, they were the same size. Coram was a former cop, and now he's a comedian. But he still had two uniforms, I believe, and he was nice enough to lend it to us. And then we didn't even wash it before he gave it back. Oh, I feel so bad about it still. We just couldn't find the time when it worked for us to bring it back to him. I felt really bad. I think we even lost a key to one of the handcuffs. Embarrassing. Felt so bad. Anyway, he ended up taking it later. He still invited us out for a boat ride on that is awesome place in Ypsilanti. Anyway, so he was nice. Fortunately, Matt McLaury fit perfectly in Coram's old uniform. We didn't even know until the day. I'm like, please, I hope this works. I guess I would have, if it didn't work, if it looked silly, I probably would have accepted it too, because it probably would have made me laugh. But anyway, with Raina, okay, as Lily, she, let me finish the editing process with Jeff first, and then I'll get to Lily. So what would happen is Jeff knew what I wanted, and I would constantly text him and call him and text him and email him and text him and call if I had a new idea for how a scene should be put together, stuff like that. So and then he would send me what I told him, and I would tell him whether or not it was right or whatever, and I would be like, no, maybe you should tweak it here, or not quite, maybe add this. That's not the rhythm I had in mind, blah blah blah. And then he would send it to me. And then eventually, you know, if not right away, eventually it would be like exactly what I had in mind. I go, yes. Now we didn't get to use every one of those, but there was a lot of that going on. So it was very it was a really good collaboration because it was like a perfect amount of freedom between the both of us. And we had a very similar. We didn't have an identical, but we had a very similar understanding of what the piece should be. We should have by then. All right, this is the Riverside Arts Center in Ypsilanti. I rented this place. This is where most of the budget went. Most of the $400 budget went to renting this place for 2 nights. But yeah, I had to work both those nights, both those days, and then head straight there and act and be in front of everyone and shoot. I had Raina for 3 days, and she's in the movie for like 20 minutes or more than that, probably 25 minutes. So how I got Matt McLaury and Tony Amsterdam. I'm sorry, Raina, if you're listening. I will get to you in 1 second. Matt McLaury and Tony Amsterdam. This is the best.
Well, what the hell have you done then?
Tony Amsterdam's a local comedian. You ever hear that, officer?
Ever hear that, officer?
No, me neither.
Greenlit Harmony.
So this whole idea came when Matt McLaury asked me what his motivation kind of was, like before we shot the scene, like at the comedy club when I cast him as the cop. And he was like, he was basically just wanted the details. He's a bit of a perfectionist, I can tell. So when he asked me, hey, what exactly, how's the scene going to play out? And I went, that's when I came up with the idea. I said, what would be perfect is if you handcuff me because no one recognizes my movie titles. And that was on the fly. I asked him to do that. I thought that was funny. He couldn't hit his mark. It was very funny trying to get. We have very funny outtakes of that. And I love the background here on Tony. He looks so. It gives him a lot of authority when you see that. It's almost kind of Roman backdrop.
I'm gonna give the keys to Lily. Keep an eye on him.
he's many people's favorite part of the movie, and I totally understand. A ridiculous costume we put together for him.
I don't care what the hell you need.
So the Sheffers are named after. I worked at a movie store in my hometown, and I can't say I was a fan of them. They certainly weren't a fan of me, but it was owned by a family named the Sheffers, so I had to put them in as disreputable people. All right, so Raina, who was nice enough to just take my cue here and say, just look for the light switch, because it's funny to me that you don't know where it is, but you act like you're here all the time. Stuff like that. Her whole thing, the whole Lily character originally was, her name's Lily Liverpool. I originally wrote her as a character who wanted so badly to rebel, but didn't know how. That's why she keeps gets pulled over for missing the red light or for running the red light. She tries to sneak in, and the alarm goes off. It's a lot of that. I just thought that was funny, a funny idea. I found Raina was the only actress that came from out of state that I auditioned her through Skype, YouTube it was, because my Skype wasn't working well enough, but YouTube. She would send me auditions for it, and I would say, and I would send her a lengthy email being like, I think more like this, more like this, more like this, you're almost there, blah blah blah. And then one time she sent me the video, and I lost it. I was like, oh my god, Lily came to life. This is crazy. This is perfect. And she came in, everyone loved her. She was there for 3 days, and she was a complete professional. And to this day, I still wish I could have paid her. In my wavy looking hair. Anyway, so originally in the original script, this is the scene when she just drops me off wherever, and I end up at that bookstore where I get kicked out because they don't have a copy of, they don't have Jewish plays. There was a lot. That would have been a weird, almost set piece, because the description in the script said that. Described the bookshelves as giant crosses. So you have books going vertical and horizontal and stuff like that. I'm still not happy with that. That was a joke take. That was that was the only thing we could salvage from that. Remember I told you we had all these issues with those scenes, those technical issues. I'm very proud of that. Uh-oh, don't notice my haircut. So that was freezing that day, and because my character had the clothes he had on, I was dying. You can sense me shaking a little bit. And we did a couple takes at least, so I was like, it was in Canton, freezing. All right, so. Oh, here's my favorite bursting of the bubble that JJ does for me.
So you're jealous of Jim Reaper's success in the movie industry, and you're hoping to match him in the theater world? Is that what you're saying? Hey, who knows? Maybe this will be a big smash, and I'll get the rights to my script. And they'll all come calling back, begging me this, apologizing to that. That's quite a smash.
Those are very Arrested Development style jokes to me, which was a huge influence on the project. When I originally conceived of this as a TV show, years before I wrote the pilot, and then a couple years after that I wrote the second episode, and then a couple years after that I went, you know what, I'm just going to put these together and finish it, and then make that the movie. And there's Adam Herzl, who couldn't have been better. He's most people's favorite in the movie, and I understand. It makes me happy. This is based on a neighbor my brother lived by, this joke. All I do is drink. It's apparently my brother was outside his car in the parking lot, and it was dirty. It was I don't know. It was very early in the day. I don't remember what time he said. And his neighbor was having a beer, and he was like, "You want a beer?" And my brother was like, or no, he's like, "You want, you drink?" And he's like, "Not really, no." And he's like, "All I do is drink." So he told me that years ago, and when I was trying to come up with the neighbor for Jeff, that's the first thing that came to mind. I was like, he's gonna be that guy. And then I love the idea that he lives with his mom. And then you see his mom at the end, played by Ellen. Okay, so here's another example of someone being really bad at their job. You could makes it sort of a comedy of manners or whatever. That there, great Michael Keefe, Darren L. Anderson, Jeff Ford, who keeps looking towards the camera. This was all Jeff's idea. The editing, I like this a lot. The cross cutting between the two, it totally works. Michael keeps this, of course, the epic scene stealer of the movie. There's a running gag with all the sequels. Back to the Future 2, right? Okay. You wouldn't know it. Turn around. Because I know Back to the Future 2. That's what it is. Dude, that's all. There's sequels in Back to the Future 2. When he says Lost in New York, Yonkers, not Home Alone 2. And stuff like that. That was all very conscious. I don't know. It's just, you find things that you think are amusing motifs, and you can read into them all you want, of course. And that was very deliberate that Robbie wears the exact same outfit that his dad does. He's only missing the glasses, especially the way Tony wears them, like by his nose. So he can look very professorial. That would have been perfect. Should have done that.
I think we're here. We might be out here. Thank you. All right, what we need to do is keep this audition going.
Raina has a lot of fascinating busy work going on when she's not saying lines. And Michael Keefe is the most off script of anybody in the whole movie as Robbie. But this is great. Another deflation thing. That was an idea I had. That was when I texted Jeff. And then when I saw it, I'm like, yes, thank you. It was exactly what I was thinking. Andrew Moore in the center there. The guy looks really bored. That's Raina's husband now, I believe. And he joined the party like a trooper. He gave him he's got a couple lines as a result. So this was a mess. I couldn't talk this day. It works for the character, but I felt, ultimately it ended up working. It was almost like an unintentional method acting. Because I felt like shit, you know what I mean? Like I felt like, and I had zero confidence, so it allowed me to be bulldozed. But what's funny is that I originally wrote this scene with Jeff Little's character being like extremely arrogant, and extremely confident, and like that's what was funny about it was he kept getting caught. And that still remains to some extent, but I feel like I'm way more vulnerable. And maybe as a result, maybe people can empathize with me more. Maybe it works better that way. I don't know. Maybe I accidentally did a decent performance with this scene. I don't know. I'm still like, I can only watch myself so much, it's kind of whatever, But that's my dog making weird noises. Hit the bricks. Jeff and I laugh at our audition a lot. Jeff and I also came up with many, many sequels and spin-offs to this movie during it. But yeah, anyway, as you can tell that Michael Keefe is off script, but this is essentially what he was supposed to say. He's doing versions of it, but he's putting his little spin on it, and he was killing us all. He totally saved the day as far as I was concerned in terms of the scene because of how shitty I felt when we were making it. And because we only had one night to shoot it. And it was like a 30-page scene or 25-page scene. What do you want me to... Cody said, Robbie, shut up. Lily, it's Lily's stage. Take her away, Lily. I never fucked her. Okay. See, originally there was supposed to be this running gag of like, she kind of raped him when he was asleep. That was supposed to be implied a little heavier. I don't think it didn't really last. Like this idea that as far as he's concerned, they never had sex. But she's like, no, we had sex. But I didn't want it to, be too I wanted it to be more like I don't know. I wanted it to be sort of like an ambiguous gag of some kind, That's Allison Hood as that's Mike Bobbitt's lady. She's also a comedian. And We had a very funny thing here, but it didn't read right. It was an idea I had sent Jeff to do an edit where she goes, because she had an extended line before where Allison's like saying how Robbie's hand got like within inches from her crotch or whatever, and then we did like a cutaway to a previous like moment, and it like zoomed in to Robbie's elbow as he spun, being very close to Allison's like pants or whatever. It didn't read. It made me laugh a lot. But yeah, so we ended up having to remove it. I wish it read better because it was a very funny cut. This stuff with of course, the Jasper the ghost, the not so friendly ghost. I came up with I was going to shoot this whole backstory with him with the local comedian named Andy Beningo because he was interested in being in it. I don't know if he was like dying to be in it, but he was interested in being in it. And I had no parts for him, so I was actually going to be like, oh, I'm going to give the backstory saga of Jasper the Ghost. And we will see him, and he's like this like school professor turned like serial killer or some shit like that. Like it was going to be insane. And the reason I wanted Andy Beningo is because Andy Beningo is like the nicest dude in the world. And he has a very friendly face. So the idea of him being like psychotic made me laugh. But anyway, it didn't end up working out. It was a bit a lot of work, and it wouldn't have worked anyway. But Mr. Fancy Film Pants. So yeah, of course, if anyone's worked in theater, I'm sure they've heard. I like my facial change here. It's one of my favorite moments as an actor. I'm so annoyed that she's calling me out. But anybody who's worked in theater knows that there's all of these rumors and alleged hauntings and there's a ghost, and then like there's like Macbeth and all. Which, by the way, is a little side note. I know how Macbeth is called. You're supposed to call it the Scottish play, and it's considered this cursed play. And like you're not supposed to say the name in the theater and all this stuff. It's like all the superstitions involved in it. I went to see Macbeth in Ann Arbor about 5 years ago, maybe longer. 6 years ago, and in the middle of the lead actor's big monologue, where it's just building and building, and he's like lifting his hand up and he's getting louder. Boom. A fire alarm goes off. The sirens and lights start flashing, and everyone thought it was part of the show because the way the show was done, it seemed like it might have worked. And then, nope, we had to evacuate the building. And of course, everyone outside was like, fucking Macbeth, right, guys? Jeez. Anyway, that's one of my favorite bits with Jeff Ford, who is the nicest guy, who actually is like very much the nicest dude on the planet, standing on stage. Little does Jeff Little know, Jeff Ford would be the most patient waiter of all time too. But so I had to give him this little moment coming up here. If you were like hoping for some sort of technical, I don't know, tidbits, that's not the kind of commentator I am. That wouldn't be fun for me to make those kind of claims. The makes me dry line is a lot of people's favorite lines. I got a big laugh at the screening we had. Yeah, anyway. I'm trying to repeat things. I love Jeff waiting on stage with his hand. I'm trying to repeat. There's on the same channel as my movie, you can watch an interview I did, a 3-part interview I did. It's about 25 minutes or something. I'm trying to repeat some of the things I said on that, so I'm trying to make this a separate, I don't know, separate piece of info. And this is great because I didn't know how this was going to translate. Because in the script, of course, Mike O'Keefe makes it work, and you can catch Raina laughing at times, and it works because she's so indecisive about who she's supposed to be flirtatious towards. So I don't think it's an error personally. Overly. That's the one thing I made sure he said, because he kept saying other things. He did a big riff here. But I made sure when he says, Abdul, are you serious? Overly. I was like, please say overly, because it's really funny to me. And I've gotten some good laughs for that, so I'm glad he did. He delivered it perfectly, too. This is great.
Really? Really?
I love my mic trying to stop it by still looking at me. Yeah. And Allison's face here cracks me up. Dude, look at how genuinely happy Andrew looks. And then Allison. It's funny, there's no exit over there either. He's just going.
Oh, yeah. Do you accept my duel? Well, I don't know. Rubber bullets.
That fucking duck head move that Mike does there always makes me laugh too. Raina had asked me, she's like, is Lily dumb? I was like, I don't think so, but I know why you asked. I was like, I think she plays dumb. I think she thinks it's going to get her places and it doesn't. I actually did a pretty good drop there. This is much better the way we did it this way though. And then that was of course Mike's idea to take my shoe. Here's the first. This is what the epiphany was leading up to. Now, what musicals have to do with anything? I think it's symbolic. I'm not, I'm gonna leave it up to anybody else to determine. Another Freak Fandango Orchestra. That's Nate Wakefield on the left. He originally was going to play an interviewer who interviewed me like Charlie Rose, but I had in mind more of like a Mark Kermode interview with Roman Polanski that I saw. I think it's like scene by scene. That interview show, if anyone's seen it. There's a Roman Polanski one that he did that was really, really uncomfortable. That's kind of what I was going to go for, but again, it just didn't work out. And there was going to be a whole reason. That was like, he's the only person you see in the movie. No, that's not true. He's the only guy, I guess, you see in the movie that you only see in the dream scene. So yeah, he was a trooper that day. It was a long shoot. We did, everything at the inside and out of the theater, except for the audition scene. That in one day. It was a very long shoot. So here's our Helen this is great here. Helen's very, very unsatisfied with the way the walls look, the sort of charred, burnt down walls. I liked it. I said, no, I think that's kind of interesting to me, because I was like, especially in black and white, it gives it like a to me it looks expressionistic, which is fine by me. I think that looks pretty cool personally. And also you'll see when Mick comes in, and he's got the you'll see that the outlet has moved up because of just the one we used, the panel we used for right behind him on the wall. So you can see like an outlet right by him. So it makes him look really tiny, unless you buy the idea that that it's one of those high up outlets. You'll see what I'm saying in a second. There are high up outlets, so I don't really think too much about it. I just know that that's why it's there. This scene between JJ and I was way longer at one point. We just kept going, and it was just too much. The scene was too slow, and it was just too much. This whole idea is funny. Then I figured that out on the day too. That I thought it worked. That I sort of naturally. That's him singing Elvis Costello. Angels want to wear my red shoes. Don't sue me, Elvis. Anyway, I thought it was a funny idea that Jeff would naturally sort of resume the therapy patient position. See, there's the outlet. That's on you. On the wall behind him. So sometimes I like to imagine that he's just really short. Anyway, so yeah, that Jeff just naturally resumes the patient position, and then of course, because even though Jeff figured out his own dilemma, JJ still charged him for it. I just think that's funny.
Y'all hear about the wreck?
Probably not. I'm all nervous in front of the icon. I'm still very proud of the scene. I'm proud of the dialogue. It's pretty dense. There's the kind of stuff going on here. Oh, the first time we shot Adam's scenes as Mick Jr. in this apartment, we just stupidly were like, hey, let's put the mic on the end of the camera. And since they're tight shots anyway, it's like, that'll be fine. And then we listened back to them, and they sounded like shit. So we had to bring them back to do it again. And the sad thing is, we had so many great, hilarious riffs from him. Now, granted, I think in the end, he did, probably the second time around, he did the bullet points better, sort of thing. But as far as just riffing, holy crap, there are so many funny lines. I mean, it got way elaborate. Like, I just kept, I don't know, like I said, I try to keep things funny and loose on the set so that the actors feel creative, so they feel like they can come up with stuff freely without, judgment or, no, don't do that, it's stupid or whatever. So I wanted him, of course, I'm the guy laughing off camera all the time. It's very hard for me not to, especially when people are improvising. It just makes me laugh a lot. So, after this scene, I'm going to probably have to pause it, and then we'll come back for round 2. I hope everyone's enjoying it so far. So yeah, just stay on my Spreaker thing and just refresh it. And I'll be back. This is great here. So once we head to after the couch scene here, we had several takes of. This scene again was longer too. The center of the movie is Jeff and JJ. But what ended up happening, which is rightfully so, is it ended up being just as much about Jeff and JJ as it is about Ellis and Jeff. And that was sort of the love triangle, if you were. Actually, the love triangle is fulfilled by Jim Reaper, of course. So pause it after the bet here. It's good. Right when he shakes, right when we shake hands. Pause it. Boom. This whole idea of with several things going on there. The whole idea that it was implied that JJ keeps increasing the amount of residuals he gets from my work. There's a nice foot on the bar. That's when things start to get real weird. And then also the whole idea of the bet. The idea of the, you want to bet, I'm going to punch Jim Reaper if he gives me a reason, all that stuff. That was inspired by the idea of in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, when, to me, it's a big turning point in the momentum of the story when McMurphy puts a bet down that he can piss off Nurse Ratched, basically. And I thought that added different stakes to the movie, so I kind of took it for that reason. The exterior. Sorry, Dave Landau is so brilliant in this scene. This scene could not have played out better, for me. This was the first scene I wrote where I'm like, okay, I'm getting into really weird territory here. And I was very excited as a result. This is when I'm like, okay, I need to make this movie, clearly. Because I just wanted to see this scene. That's Brad Wenzel in the back. He's a very funny comedian. He was on Conan O'Brien not too long ago. And in front of him is Emily Pierce. I believe they're a couple. They seem to be. They're either that or really good friends. They were very helpful in this movie. Unfortunately, Brad Wenzel's scene, which was in the audition scene, he had a couple lines. They didn't make it. They just didn't. You couldn't hear them and all that stuff. Didn't need to be there, but it would have been nice. It just added to the chaos of the audition scene. But anyway, so here's, of course, probably me at my most despicable in a lot of ways, or up there. I'm a pretty despicable character. As I've said before, to me, Daffy Duck was a huge inspiration for my main character, Jeff Little. But Yeah, I mean, I'm deliberately trying to be an asshole here. I'm trying to.
Supposed to be a really good
I'm trying to get him to walk, even though he, because there's something fishy going on with his fake leg, as he won't tell me. It's not his leg, and so now Robert gave up the trumpet, and now he put on some glasses, and he's singing. He's a lounge singer now. See, he has different personas throughout the movie. He's just sitting down. He's not even trying to be a showman anymore for two people. They don't care. He lost the passion. Jeff Easy pointed out to me. He said, "Notice that Landau played Ellis like a penguin." I'm like, yep, I totally know what you mean. He kind of walks like a penguin. It's great. That's my dad's favorite joke in the movie. that the drink cost $31. That's the biggest laugh throughout it. Watching this with my parents is mostly very uncomfortable because they don't like swearing and stuff like that. So especially their youngest child dropping F-bombs for their amusement. Uh-oh, what just happened there? Anyway, I thought that we did that pretty well. I mean, people saw it coming more or less, but to me, I hope the laughter came from, wow, that actually was what was coming. This is nice and David Lynchy, the music anyway. This is very amusing stuff. This is a fun dance scene. This is the first dance scene we put together editing-wise. And so I was like, oh, good. That's Elisa Iannelli in the middle. She was a waitress at the comedy club. She also dancing with me is my fiance Helen. I'll point her out in a second. The stars are nice. That was just that great production value having the comedy club. On the left there in the front, that's my fiance Helen with the big earrings. And then with her on the right is Leanne. She was Leanne Schaefer. She was also a waitress at the comedy club, and we were all very good friends. So yeah, Helen choreographed these dances, of course. She gets really so anyway, I was gonna say she gets really into it. She's kind of a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff. So like I don't think she's completely pleased with these by any means, but I like them cinematically. I think they get the job done. I like that there's a charming sort of lack of professionalism about it. Like, you know what I mean? That it's not like that they're not perfect. They're a little sloppy, but we did our best, and I think we got the job done. That's just me. But I like this stuff right here. That was when you couldn't smoke at the comedy club anymore, but whatever, don't tell them. They were able to smoke in there for decades, so I didn't see the harm. And yes, this is an obvious trick with that right there, boom. But I thought it made it a magic trick. Like it called attention to it as a result. And that was the thing we were trying to do very much was the fact that we had no money at all, and we just did what we could to make it work under the circumstances. And I found that the best way to go about that is to just kind of call attention to the fact that it's cheap without it being kind of annoying that you're calling attention to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, like, there's nothing, you know, it's like Snakes on a Plane, like the movie Snakes on a Plane. One of my best openers of a sentence. It's like Snakes on a Plane. It's like Snakes on a Plane, how it's not very funny, and it doesn't really work because it's trying to be a bad movie, you know what I mean? We were doing, you know, our version of, we're not trying to be a cheap movie, we just are. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. So this worked better than I thought. I love this right here because he's actually looking at me in that take, but it looks like a major dodge, and it's hilarious to me. Like he doesn't want to look at me when he's here. But anyway, so this was a last minute thing when we were trying to figure out, because originally in the script it was like outside his office, this whole discussion and all that, and we were like, it was too tight of a fit at Mike's apartment, so he was like, I have a stairwell. And we're like, yeah. And then I sort of like told Jeff, I said, hey, just kind of follow me up the stairs and cut back and forth. And he put that nice little, almost like spy music, that like suspicious stuff, boom, 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 all that stuff. Jeff grabbed so many great tunes. I gave him a soundtrack to use as the basis for, it was like what I had in mind if I had the money. Things like Tom Lair's Masochism Tango and stuff like that. And so he found free bands, Underscore Orchestra and Freak Fandango Orchestra, that we were able to use that had the similar flavor that I was going for, and then I picked from there as much as I could and all that. So yeah, it was very collaborative between Jeff and I. Couldn't have made it without him, that's for sure. And speaking of Jeff, this shot coming up was actually his idea. He really wanted it. This right here with the statue matching with the hand over the face. Yeah, he really wanted that. I like that touch. I think it's nice. I take credit for it all the time. I go, yeah, that was me. Maybe you're not. Yeah. See, the whole thing is, I don't think my parents got this because they just thought, oh, you're being dirty or whatever. To me, this is funny because to me, JJ doesn't know how to be a psychiatrist besides bringing back everything to sex or money. You know what I mean? So like, that's why it's funny to me. And then of course Jeff keeps solving his own problems. Yeah, this right here, masturbating in front of a mirror. Costello, are you snoring behind me? I like that he traps himself. Like Jeff wasn't even thinking about this, and then he just leans right into it. Perhaps he wanted to on purpose. Maybe this was his way of. Maybe he just felt too guilty about it, and so he had to get it out in the air in this indirect way. That's me pouring a beer. I don't keep my sideburns like that anymore, by the way. They're a little too short. I like them a little long now. That's the change that happens when you make a feature movie. You're like, fuck those sideburns, I want them longer. Anyway, that's just letting you know. That's the before me and the after me. No, it's just kidding. See, like, that's me. Like, I just got up from my apartment. Now I'm in Jeff Easley's apartment, and that's Mike Bobbitt's apartment. It's a lot of that kind of... Like, my Dean's List picture, I just taped over it. J.J. Morton, if you can see that in the back. I thought that was funny. Like, I thought it was funny that that J.J. Morton did that. That he actually wasn't on the Dean's List. That he, like, sort of pulled a Homer Simpson where he, like, steals Ned Flanders and stuff and puts his name on it. That's how I really fight, by the way. So, if you ever want to challenge me to a fight, don't, because you're going to get your ass kicked.
It happened this morning while you were in the basement.
Well, it's enough to scare JJ. Those are JJ's pretend awards in the background. They got best picture. It's just a little.
You okay? Yeah. Ellis left his arm on the ground.
If you want to know the origin of Ellis's amputations, it's actually in the script. It's not specifically stated. It's alluded to, and it's very funny. It's not in the movie. Landau did a very funny take of it, but we didn't end up using it. I like keeping it a mystery. This is brilliant. Little eye shift. Yes. I'm not reading it to you. Uh-oh. I told Jeff, I said, I want him introduced like Orson Welles and, so it was like, I want a low angle, and a nice light. He came up with a way to make it work. It looks great. I wanted him to have that sort of superiority instantly because his name's been built. That was the big basis of it. Was like how Orson Welles is discussed for like the first half of The Third Man, and you don't see him, and then finally you see him. That kind of idea. Pelvis is fucking oil joke. That never gets a laugh. That like is some oil for that kink in your socket. It's one of my favorite things in the movie because it's so stupid, but it totally illustrates. My brother came up with a good joke. He said the bartender should have made him Frangelico because he gave Jeff such a hard time about it. But anyway, yeah. But I love the joke. Here's some kinks in your socket. Here's some oil for the kinks in your socket. I just like how absurd it is. That like that's how much of an ass kiss he is. He literally made a trip to, or probably had someone get him oil and then took credit for it. But you can see Mike Bobbitt's tattooed arm doing one of the cheers. Watch.
Come on, everybody. Let's raise our glasses for a toast.
Right there on the left. Just JJ's wild side. Cheap sheet in the back.
Our very first script office. I'm excited about it too. In this corner, we have the writer director of such films as the hard-boiled detective picture Dime a Dozen, and the subtle yet moving little picture that could set up. Please welcome Mr. Jim Reaper.
Let's try and come up with pretentious titles. Mainly for Jeff, of course.
Yes. And in this corner we have, what, Mulled Wine in your movie? Just Jeff Little.
It's Christina in the background, and to the left is Joliba, and then in the very back is Jeff Easley, the cinematographer editor.
Everyone will read the same scene. Both are expected to be different versions. At the end, we'll have an applause meter and a vote to determine who the victor is. In the meantime, may your criticisms guide this project to the artistic concept.
So those shots of the audience I was the cinematographer. That's why they look so shitty. In case you were wondering. We did so many crazy takes of this. I remember we were doing. I was like, okay, Mike Babish, who plays Jim Reaper. I was like, okay, now get up on top of the thing, and I was like directing him to go all over the place and delivers. Because the thing that he's reading is this lengthy and stupid, elaborate, pretentious nonsense that Jeff Little wrote. Grinding the axe. It's ACTS, by the way. And it's apparently about Samuel Beckett. That's my favorite. And then this is when he sort of kisses the word stuff. But anyway, I remember Mike Bobbitt walking in when I was telling Babish to do all sorts of stuff, and he looked very concerned. He was like, "What kind of stupid movie am I a part of here?" One of the great accidents of it was when at one point I was introduced during one of the takes, and you literally heard the toilet flush in the background. We were seriously considering using that because it was too perfect, but we didn't. I thought I did a decent job here, but. One of the harder scenes to act, of course.
Scene 1.
Sorry, I'm captivated by my stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Cut to Jeff. Sorry, Jim. Too many J's. Jim, Jeff, JJ. And then Jeff Easley was my DP editor.
Please, and he hugs it, and it's kind of awkward as Reaper showed us.
So this is a man realizing what the hell was I so upset about. Like, this is a terrible script. And he's realizing it on the spot. Like, at the peak of his defense of it, he realizes, wait, this is drivel. Why am I getting so worked up over this? Oh, well, it's just because it's mine. Anyway, I'm not trying to explain the movie. That's not the point of this. So in the sheet in the back it's a green sheet, and we were going to use it we were going to put all sorts of green screen stuff on it. Ended up not happening. Fortunately, it's in black and white. So it just looks like a shitty curtain, but like it was actually supposed to be of use. Also, you see early in the movie, you see in the back of the bar, there's a TV. We were going to have a show on that we were going to make a show. Actually, the interview that Nate Wakefield was going to interview me for was going to end up on there. It was going to be some weird, where is he now? Blah, or whatever. It was like that kind of thing. If any of that made sense that I just said. We have so many takes, as you can imagine, of this. Actually, the original cut of this, I should mention, Dave Landau would walk up in between the acts, and he was like crying. Like Ellis was crying after Jim Reaper's reading, and he goes, I didn't even cry this hard when I lost my arm. This is good practical effects. Literally shaky camera, sound of a plane exploding, and a brilliant fall. And then this nice stuff here. That shot was Jeff's idea too. I like all the mirrors. I feel like I was talking about something. Oh yeah, so and then after I read my script, Ellis comes back on stage, and he's like, that is the worst thing I've ever had on this stage. I'm gonna have to burn this place down now, thanks to you. And like he just unloads on me. There's an outtake of it I kind of posted it before, not for real though, where he's just unloading. He's like, I hope the rapture happens and Satan fucks you in the ass and all this shit. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Slightly cheap suit. You can see someone lurking in the background if you pay close attention. Who could it be? I love this line here too. We all thought it was his dad.
You already said that's I don't believe you. No, but anyone else, seriously? You guys actually showed me over.
Who's thinking? There's also alternate takes of Darnell doing like the robot, doing weird dance moves before he says anything, and it's really funny. In color, he looked like a homeless person. You can actually see it 2 episodes ago on my Spreaker here. It's we did a little weird Jameson ad because he had a little Jameson bottle with him because it was such a late shoot. So we all took a few swigs of that before doing the dance scene coming up. Yeah. In more ways than one. Maybe. No. Look at him trying not to laugh. I love this. Watch Babish walk right over him. Look, he literally hits him with his shin. Look. Look, cracks me up. Babish at the premiere completely forgot I had him do this. He told me that. He was like, I forgot you had me humping the play. There. That kind of Darnell stuff. There was more of that in the alternate takes of his performance. This never gets a laugh, like at least as much as I thought it should get. It's my favorite line. The fact that Jesus came to judge, but it was getting kind of scary, so he sought refuge.
You may be a bit overqualified. Are you really?
This idea too.
Jesus? That is my name, yeah.
And the fact that beard is on crooked.
Well, that depends on who.
It's a caveman beard, so you can probably get the idea of what I think about religion. I'm just kidding. Not really. Sorry, not sorry. Isn't that what people say these days? Anyway.
You've been replaced by Jim Reaper.
Are you shitting me? Wow. Really?
I should be madder there. Some of my takes, I'm like, what?
Not the Jesus. Clearly, I'm drinking.
You're not.
I love that she actually licked the part of his wig. And then this whole thing cracks me up too, the fact that Robbie hates everyone except for Jim Reaper. I'm very proud of this scene. I think it's really cool. This took us a while. I mean, there's a lot. I kept telling anyone who knew these people, I was like, I have Tony Adamczyk and Jeff Ford dancing in the same scene. Tell me you don't want to see that. This originally, I wanted it to be just my face and then this kind of stuff playing in the background. And Jeff like made it this little flame. Got his flame head spinning and he's like, yeah, that's cool. I'll take it. It's kind of fun. Another Freak Fandango orchestra, if I didn't mention that yet. Yeah, of course, everyone's watching the movie of my life and it's embarrassing. I can't even fit into those pants anymore. Oh man! By the Jesus with the whip, Kent Tucker playing Jesus over there, hilarious dude. He was whipping that thing like crazy because he thought the sequence was going to be in sound. And I was like, no, this is like a dance scene or like a montage thing, you know. I was like, but it was like scaring people because he was really whipping it and it was like almost hitting a lot of people and all this stuff. It was already like 2 in the morning. All this stuff. Been shooting for like 7 hours or more. That's me walking the plank, of course. That was the idea. Keeping up with this pirate theme that, again, didn't really survive the script. But in the script, you know, there's a lot of the whole scallywag thing and, like, you know, and me being concerned that Reaper's like he's kind of fired because he's coming in and he's stealing my script, you know. He's stealing my treasure. That whole thing, you know, all that stuff. Again, another failed effect attempt. You can see it in the background. It looks like shit. There's like we taped the fucking green thing, and like it's awful. It's just ignore it. There's no meaning to it. I could like try to pretend that there's like some secret meaning behind that. By the way, I have said you can read on the IMDb beer kicking in. I guess you can read on the IMDb page that it says that I have stated that the movie has a sort of a secret a hidden narrative to it, and that's true. I'm not going to give any hints, but it's for real. There is a hidden narrative that no one's yet to come up and tell me about. Even my editor, who probably knows it, probably doesn't even know what I'm referring to though when I say that. But it's a real thing. I wrote a whole draft of the script with the hidden narrative in mind, so it's still intact. It's not very obvious though, but it's definitely there. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. If any enthusiasts out there who wants to crack that code, I'm down if you want to. Anyway, he delivered this exactly like I had in mind when I wrote it. This the up here. There's always a plane blowing up. I think you were.
Where you going, man? You got my tab, right? What the hell?
Give him the upper hand award. I love it was just Jim Reaper just like sitting there as the victor amongst all the rubble. Still coming to grips with.
No, it is not.
I don't know what that noise is. If anyone can hear that.
Oh, seriously? That fucking ride?
Okay. Watch the movie for a second. Must be someone in my hallway trying to knock on someone's door. Anyway, all right. Back to it. See, again, calling attention to the cheapness of it. It makes me laugh, too, the fact that the arm is just slung over like that. I love how proud he is of that joke.
I'm not playing second fiddle to you on my picture.
Oh, someone's either trying to get my attention or they're living their own lives independently of mine and it has nothing to do with me. I can't accept that. Anyway. He is fucking your play after all, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You forgot because he passed out after
Put it
blabbering.
on my feet for 3 hours. No, you don't. I love it. It just pops up. You haven't seen him in this whole time at this place.
Fantastic. I was moved.
Oh, look how many hands get stacked here. Because you already have the fake hand that he's holding. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 total counting the fake hand. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Jeff, what the hell the fuck is going on in there? I can't think while you're pressing.
I should have been madder. I blew this take. It's a big take too. Had to cut around a little bit because
Brilliant, you're best yet. Oh, it sucks. It was horse shit. You're getting worse and worse every year.
you know when an actor goes, hurt me, it's fine, and then you go, I don't think you mean that. That's kind of what happened. I pulled my punches a little bit. Unfortunately, it still works. The scene works. It gets the job done, but I feel like it could have been better. That's all. There's Helen as Mick's mom, very deliberately. Hold up, stay on the rail, baby. That was improvised. I can use that. Helen playing a drunk lady makes me laugh. People ask me, they're like, how are you going to make a short guy like Adam beat up the big guy like Mike? I said, well, I'm going to pull away from it'll work. This is exactly how I wrote it. This is exactly how I had it in mind originally. And then you cut to him and he's on the ground, and the idea of him just laying flat on the ground makes you laugh too.
Good job, man. See you back at the ass shaft. No rapture means more drinking. All right.
And it's very deliberate that you think he picked up a chick, but it's actually his mom.
You got good, Mom. You got real good. Let's get out of here. Come on. JJ? Guess you can, let that square down, huh? Right? JJ?
And this whole bit is up for your interpretation. I know what it means, but it's up for your interpretation.
You actually earned this.
And that's not part of the hidden narrative, no. We had a terrible outtake once. So the first cut of that, like, you literally saw JJ getting up. And we're like, what? I was like, Jeff, can't you cut around that? And for some reason, it was a trick. I don't know why it was tricky. There's me after. I'm a little heavier already. Because we shot these like the last things. Now I'm like 300 pounds heavier. You should see me. It's like the Baruch assault. Anyway, no. I no longer wear those glasses. That's true. That's a very stern look. Very serious. That's true too. No friends. Well, wait. Except what? Except who? Oh, I guess that's true. He's still my friend.
My neighbor. We're going ice fishing. Anyway, the winter comes around.
That ending, by the way, completely different than the ending in the script. The script had this big, epic, elaborate ending that it more fulfilled the whole idea of that thing I spoke of earlier, where you try to have your inspiration, but shit gets in the way. Like life gets in the way of your inspiration, that whole idea. It was very much that kind of concept. It was like, it swelled really high and then it fizzled away. Like it got torn apart, literally. In the original script, he puts on one of his old movies and then he has this epiphany on how to make his big comeback as a filmmaker. And as it's happening, the movie literally rips to shreds in front of his eyes. and then he says, probably wouldn't have worked anyway. Probably wouldn't have worked anyway. That's what I said. And then it was in a cut. It was like quick cut to the credits. But yeah. So anyway, yeah. That's here's the credits here. We tried to cover our ass as much as possible because I got screwed over big time on a previous movie I co-directed that never saw the light of day, and so I was very protective of this movie. And so there's tons of little details in the credits to make sure. Also, I have a whole list of special thanks coming up that you'll see. That's people and places. And the people are a lot of them were my inspirations in general at this time. I could totally do a one by one through that and explain why I picked who I picked. Hopefully I'll make another feature soon. If I did that again, it would probably there would be a lot of the same people, but there would be a lot of different people too. But since this, just so you know, I did make another movie, quote unquote. I made a documentary called Just a Joke. You can watch it on my Cabaret Film Company YouTube page. It's a movie I made entirely of pre-existing footage, and it deals with the idea of offense in comedy, because that's a big topic to me. So yeah, you can, like, I felt like I said if you really read into that movie, Just a Joke, I feel like I said a lot of what I have to say about that topic. It's mainly a think piece, though. I'm not trying to persuade anyone of anything, but I was trying, and with Just a Joke, I was trying very much to neutralize the conversation, because I felt like it was always either one extreme or the other. So I was trying to find a nice in between. So like the idea was to create an ongoing conversation about the topic. So yeah. Anyway, so check out Just a Joke, please. I've been in the middle of a lot of other writing. I've done a lot of writing since this movie and all that stuff, but haven't committed to a specific project yet. But yeah, see my inspirations right there: Paul Thomas Anderson, Woody Allen, James Cameron, Bob Fosse, Tim Burton, Quentin Tarantino, David O. Russell, Darren Aronofsky, Martin Scorsese, Stanley Kubrick, Kevin Smith, Jonathan Demme, Judd Apatow, Charlie Chaplin, Busby Berkeley, Al Jean, Matt Groening, John Swartzwelder, Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant, Larry David, Mitchell Hurwitz, Seth MacFarlane, Billy Joe Armstrong, Elvis Costello, John Flansburgh, John Lindell, Bob Dylan. Anyway, so weirdly enough, while we were in post on this movie, like right when I deliberately had Charlie Chaplin as a major influence on certain sequences that I wanted to try to execute. Like, he really became like a specific influence. I was like, oh, we gotta do like this, Jeff. You know, we gotta do like a silent movie thing here, and this, that, and the other. Like, as I was really like using Charlie Chaplin as an influence, his long lost book got published right at that time, right when we were in post on this movie. And you know what it was called? Footlights. I was like, that's gotta be a good sign. Turns out it wasn't. Like I said, maybe 100 people have seen this. Now, granted, I'm glad anyone has seen this.